GM, Hot Takes, Cold Wallets, episode number 25. And before we get rolling today, I just want to say that ChainPatrol reached 5,000 follows on X, and this is a moment to celebrate the 25th episode. It's a great milestone for you guys. Looking for many more. Uma, Juan, how you doing? How's it going?
Going really well. Excited to join in, chat some more about security, and yeah, 5K is huge. See how long it takes to get to 10K.
Yeah, definitely. I hope we get to the 10K faster than we reach the 5K. That's for sure. But yeah, everything good. Can't believe that we're in episode 25 right now. Crazy that we have been so many editions here, and always new things to discuss with you and with the general public about like security stuff. So yeah, really happy to have a new episode here.
I'm always looking for a ChainPatrol update first before we start the episodes with the real topics. I was gonna be talking to Nikita. I was excited to talk about him, and then like, hey, we need to catch up. We haven't talked for weeks. What's been going on with all these conferences lately? But as you can see, we got Uma and Juan here tonight, so you guys have to answer the question for now. Uma and Juan, I made some notes about the conferences that you and the team attended lately. It was Money 2020, TwitchCon Europe, the Digital Asset Summit Canada, and the Mumbai Tech Week. Any updates or any talks you guys could share on that? Like, what was the vibe like? Which topics were more like on the hotter side of the topics, or what was going on there?
Yeah, definitely. Personally, I think neither Umar or myself went to those conferences. First of all, we need to make that note. But yeah, based on what we heard, like from different team members from ChainPatrol have been going to these conferences, the conversations are great. Quality of people that we are meeting in all these different conferences is definitely really, really good. We actually had a booth in Money 2020. It's the first edition that we have a booth in this conference. And yeah, definitely it's really interesting to us to discuss with everybody about security, not only Web3, that is one of the main pieces, and the companies that we protect are Web3 companies right now, but also outside Web3, trying to understand where the main issues that they're suffering, where the main pain points that they also have within their security systems, understand like where we can be complementary to the different security setups that they have right now. So definitely really, really interesting. We had like really great feedback along all these different conferences. And yeah, much more to come in the next few weeks as well.
Uma, you have been to some conferences as well. Is it like a difference to the way that Web3 companies or fintech companies or like gaming companies, where they approach impersonation any different?
I think a lot of the companies, I can say like from Web3 versus like Web2 kind of perspective, I see a lot more differences. In Web3, it's more about sort of understanding sort of the social accounts, how to keep those secure, make sure they don't get compromised, the community accounts, the discords and stuff like that. In Web2, I hear a lot more about like phishing, like attacks on email, SMS, text and phone. Like that's a big area for them, and like a lot of them are talking to us about how do we make sure that we're on top of all the automated scams that are happening on that front, which makes a lot of sense. Like if you think about it, like everyone has a phone number or an email and stuff like that, and that's kind of the primary way to get scammed. They're trying to get your access to your personal information or bank account, and then on the crypto side, it's direct access to your crypto. So there's a lot of similarities on that front, but the big thing is just like which kind of companies they target and how.
Juan, do you think it's more difficult to explain what ChainPatrol does to like a non-Web3 based audience?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think that most of companies understand what are impersonations, and I would say it's mostly different focus. Like I think Web3 might have like more like Telegram, Discord impersonations because they are using this platform much more. But I don't know, Instagram, TikTok, fake Facebook groups. Things are really common, I would say, on the Web2 world of the different impersonations that we see, and most I would say like. Fintechs or like B2C companies that we work and that we are in discussions right now are seeing much more these kind of threats than anything else. So I would say it's different maybe where they're seeing these impersonations targeting them, but definitely these impersonations are there, mostly because users also are in different compromises. It may not be like the wallet compromise that we discussed several times, why we need hardware wallets and all different things. Maybe it's not that approach, but the accesses that they provide to these different platforms, if it's like a fintech, if it's like a bank, these remain like different specific points of attacks that one scammer or that one impersonator can go through. So really different, I would say, on the type of attack that they receive, but they understand quite well of the impersonations, and they usually understand quite easily what we do.
Yeah, we have a topic that's quite fittingly for this kind of comparison between a Web 2 and a Web 3 hack or an attack vector, because Umar, Juan, we've seen an meta AI kind of attack lately where basically the attacker was able to chat with the bot of Meta, which was like a beta test or something, which they were testing a feature with, and the attacker could get the bot to send them a password reset code to an email address that they controlled when they had like a VPN which was created and originated within like the radius of the original account they were trying to hack. And with that access to the AI, they were able to then get the bot to send them a password reset link to an email address they controlled, bypassing MFAs like authentication keys and all that, even SMS. Some people still use that. Please don't, but they do. And yeah, that's like kind of a horrible incident for people outside of the Web3 bubble. I would say like the tech nerds, like we see this all the time, but Web2 users, they are probably not that familiar even with AI attacks. So what's the take on that, Uma?
Yeah, I think AI played a big role in that attack, not just on the tool, the support chat tool that Meta was testing out, but also my understanding is that after they used the VPN to get access to the password reset flow, it would ask them to basically take a photo of themselves or like a video to do the KYC. And so the attackers were able to use AI video generation tools to generate the KYC kind of or fool the KYC process. So there was AI on both sides of this attack, and it kind of just shows like how early we are in the use of AI and understanding and adopting it, adding guardrails on understanding its vulnerabilities. But B, kind of just shows you that these tools, just like crypto, is a dual use technology. So is AI, right? It can be used for good and it can be used for bad, for productivity and for attacking people and impersonation. So I think that's really important for us to understand when we're like building new technologies as well. It's like, okay, what's the logical extreme? Each time I ratchet up the ability of this tool, what else am I ratcheting up for the other side as well? So that was really interesting to me.
Would you say it's really like an AI problem? I wouldn't say it's like an AI problem per se. I would say it's probably more like a permission or authorization problem for them. Like, should the AI be able to like grant these permissions in the first place, right? It's like something to be discussed, I guess.
For sure. It's like I think there's the OWASP top 10, which are like the top 10 types of vulnerabilities we see in applications and systems. And broken access control is like, I think, top number one or top three. And I think, yeah, it's exactly the case here. I think they gave a tool call, to that AI support chat to recover your account that should probably have had more like auditing and controls around it beyond just checking location and KYC. Especially, I think, for some of those accounts that were pretty high profile. I heard like the Obama account got taken, Barack Obama account got taken over, and a bunch of other very high value, I guess, accounts. So that was kind of surprising as well.
Juan, what would you say? How dangerous does that become? Like, if a high profile account gets overtaken, which is like very widely trusted by the community because it was like used before, obviously, by officials. This is something we see in Web 3 as well, but I would say that especially in Web 2, it's probably easier to get a lot more people with this because they aren't as used to account compromises, or they aren't on their tiptoes as much when it comes to like fake accounts and fake links and all that. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, definitely. I will say it's really big issue. Uh, and you just reminded me, and also Mar mentioning Obama's account, that there was actually like a case, I think it was like in 2020, where Obama, I don't know if like Joe Biden or like also Elon Musk accounts got compromised in 2020. It was like a hacker from UK, I remember. Pretty much he posted like a fake token address or like a fake contract, like donation, something like that was, and pretty much stole like millions literally of like cryptocurrency based on that. So the high confidence that these accounts provide to us is also is like a power, right? Like you can have like great influence, and with that great influence you can influence for good and influence for bad. And in this case is that power that it has been granted to that person because he built out like his personality, he's following different ways with their whole careers, can be ruined by like these kind of AI tools that we have right now, and these like compromises that we saw like in social media in general. So definitely it's like a topic that really is really interesting, mostly because there is not a way to stop AI. There is no way to limit these new tools to being used in the main social media accounts and the main social media platforms. So the thing is like, what is actually available to do right now to prevent these kind of situations? What are the different updates that we can do, like to KYCs processes and so on? That's my main question, like because it's so easy, as Umar mentioned, that to fake like a video, a KYC video, that how is the actual security that crypto exchanges have right now if the main thing that they need for users to withdraw their money is to have like a KYC process completed, right? So make me wonder what's the future of like security on these more like centralized databases.
I think it's a nice topic to maybe have with someone who's like very in depth when it comes to KYC and all that, because we have seen cases where KYC actually became like the opposite of safety, where it became like a vector for people to get attacked by because the data got stolen or got leaked by some providers, and then their home addresses or whatever were publicly known, or in dark web or whatever. So this is an interesting thought, Juan. KYC is a topic I'm taking home tonight, and I'm gonna be like finding someone who's gonna be willing to be talking about this with us. Umar, for you, a question maybe not only related to crypto companies but companies in general. Like, would you suggest, like, if you plan ahead
Yeah.
of these hacks, like, should every company have an emergency plan in their drawer when it comes to compromised accounts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the number one rule, in security is that like assume you will be hacked at some point, and I think that's no different for social media accounts or any sort of accounts that you have. There are definitely some tools that we can use to kind of mitigate this, like even just within the profile security itself, just having certain limits on sort of how much control any single account has to do certain posting. We know that, like, for example, like there's delegation features and other tools that social media platforms have where you can give a certain individual access to an account without literally giving them your email and password. And that, you'll get notified about that. I think there's definitely also like for every like security measure, there's always like some backdoor or some alternative that people will find, right? Like we talked in this case, it was about like VPN. It's a pretty reasonable tool that we used to use as security practitioners. Like no person can move from like, New York to like Hong Kong in like the matter of minutes. So if they're showing up in a different location, then we should flag that, right? But this was not the case for this like support tool. They were able to like just find the user's location and kind of use that information against them. I think the biggest thing is like also making sure that you have the like limited access to these tools, like the amount of kind of like attack surface area gets reduced. If there's like 10 people like sharing an account, that's like gonna be a bigger challenge to manage. Access something that looks suspicious. It could be to you like just sharing it, doing some normal business, and it just makes it way harder also for the platforms to build out security measures. Um, I think overall too with like AI, it's like a lot of things, processes in companies, they're hitting a lot of bottlenecks. I've seen, for example, on GitHub, like we made it 10 times easier to create software, but like GitHub as a platform was not built for that scale to happen within that amount of time. A human needed to observe some information, make a decision, and then invest resources into scaling up those resources within GitHub to kind of meet those demands. And it's just really hard to deal with the like automated systems. Is that they don't rest. They just keep going. They'll just keep doing things without a human in the loop to kind of correct that, or some sort of circuit breaker in the system. There's not really a way to kind of resolve that. So yeah, I think setting certain circuit breakers, monitoring your own accounts as well. One of the things that we do at ChainPatrol is actually monitor our customers' accounts to see if they ever get compromised, or if there's any change in the profile or anything like that. And so that kind of helps us to understand, like if the company rebrands or if they post something new that might change our understanding of their organization. That helps a lot. But also, we're an extra set of eyes outside the organization, because you're never going to be 100%, coverage yourself. Your community can help as well, but you have to set up the right tools around you.
Yeah, I think like the key takeaway here is that the social media accounts are nice for marketing purposes and all that, but you need to keep in mind that they can also become an attack vector if you like mistreat it, or even if it's not your fault, because like the systems were like flawed and people were able to attack you by texting with a chatbot and resetting your password with a chatbot. Okay, and then we got another incident. Like right after that, we got the Gnosis Pay incident, which was on June 1st, and I have some notes on that because I can't recall all what happened on that. So June 1st, Gnosis Pay was attacked for roughly 1.2 million. And Gnosis Pay users, which used the little like debit card from Gnosis, they had their wallets drained partly, not everyone, but partly. And there was a bug in the code of a Zodiac module, if I read that correctly. And like what I found interesting and what I found like very outstanding by the Gnosis team was they were very upfront with the communications, like not only the Gnosis Pay account itself, but also like the Köppelmann account, which is tied to the organization. And they said from the first tweet, they said like, hey, we know there's an incident going on. There's a bug in the code. Please withdraw your funds if you can. Spoiler, you couldn't, because like everyone was trying to do so, and then they halted the whole process after all. But they said in the first tweet, they said like, hey, don't worry, we're gonna like reimburse any affected users. And this is like, for me, it was like a very good communication around the crisis process, because we all know, like, if you have been following this show for a while, we know it's like not a matter of if you will get hacked, it's a matter of when you will get hacked. And yeah, Gnosis Pay, again, Umar, maybe for you, like, it's for the crypto users, it's like a convenience feature to have these cards to be able to pay with Visa and for your coffee or your beer or whatever. But like the average user, they really don't understand the underlying technique here. Still, you have a self-custodial wallet with Gnosis Safe, but still they were affected by these hacks. What would you say like Gnosis did very well with the communication on this incident?
Yeah, I think the clear communication was a big part of it. Just like being upfront, like, hey, we know what the issue is. I'm glad that they found like narrow down where the bug was pretty early, and were able to kind of that kind of highlights to me is that they had a good understanding of which parts of their code were more solid than others. Like they kind of knew, this area of the code might be more interesting to attackers, right? And so, so you can do a lot of protections and write code that's very robust. But at the end of the day, like there's certain parts of your code where you're like a little bit unsure about, or a little bit, maybe you have like, you can make this only so robust to handle, what edge cases you have, right? And that's what engineering is all about. Like there's no such thing as like a perfect building or bridge, right? That's like you're given certain tolerances and certain specifications. This bridge needs to span this distance, handle this weather conditions over, this historical data that we've collected, and has to last for 40 years or something like that, right? And within those constraints, they have to like build a little bit beyond, just to handle just the chance that it might fail or come out of those optimal conditions. And I think that's the kind of key thing that can help you design like an incident response plan. The other thing I did like is that they did a whole write-up about the incident, and even created sort of a Telegram group channel and like a communication channel for people to coordinate, and like have discussions, right? That's I think a key thing is that like in that situation you have a lot of noise happening, and being able to direct that noise early on is really important, because if you don't, then attackers will take advantage of that too, right? We've seen that happen a number of times, where funds were stolen or some other reason, and then scammers put up thousands of fake recovery pages or setting out emails about recover your funds, or this is the program, and stuff like that. So really establishing that official channel and that communication pathway, what's the primary communication channel, and what are our internal, if you're inside that organization, what's our official internal kind of process. That's really key, and I think a lot of teams can learn from that and see, okay, we're about to launch, and this is an instance. These are the areas that we could have incidents in. Let's, like, if not down to the minute or like second, then at least tabletop exercise this out and say, like, who are we missing from the conversation? What access don't we have to answer these questions? All these things kind of compound when you're in a real incident and emotions are high, and you don't know what to do. It's like, okay, at least we have something that we can refer back to. What did we do when we did the exercise, or our policy on that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that some teams like they even don't do it on purpose with the bad communications, but they just like go radio silent for a while because obviously they are like overwhelmed with everything that's happening in the background. But Gnosis, on the other hand, on this one, they were just like nailing it. And I heard that they did also a very good job in their Discord. I wasn't there personally, so I didn't follow that, but they were updating users, and this is like at the end of the day, like the user cares, like, hey, I lost my funds. What's going to happen now, right? And they, in the first tweet, they said like, hey, we're gonna reimburse you, and then they gave updates, and I think that was like a very good line of communication, if you will. But Umar, maybe Juan too, like if you're a crypto user or crypto card user, what would be like a key takeaway from you from a case like this? My instant reaction to this was like, hey, maybe users should like not treat the crypto cards as like a vault and keep everything on these cards, but rather than like a hot wallet where you have some funds in, but not like the life savings. What would be like an actionable advice that you guys would give from your perspective, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I can add a little bit, and then I'll for Juan to jump in as well. But yeah, I think that makes sense, a lot of sense. I feel like the crypto card, it's also um, like people lose stuff all the time as well. Like if you lose that, like I know there's probably recovery factors as well, but I think there's just more that can happen. So just treat it like more like closer to disposable in a way. I know that people want to also like, they feel good about it as well, because like they're kind of like, oh, like crypto's like, I can use it, I can now, I'm getting value out of it in the real world, and they kind of want to have it on them and show it off and be like a user, and that's a big part of it too. It's like there's this social factor that people want to take advantage of these tools, but you have to also be mindful that, like, you're an early adopter, right? You're there's going to be sort of bugs, there's going to be kinks and things. So I always say, like, don't kind of put something in that you're into an early product that you don't like, if that product disappeared tomorrow, that you wouldn't be like in a very bad position. That's a big part of it too. Like, I think it's just like understanding, accepting that you're going to have challenges in the beginning, and over time, I think a lot of these problems will get solved. But it's just about understanding where you're placing your risk. But yeah, Juan, I don't know if you had anything to add on that one. I don't know your experience with any of the crypto cards.
Yeah, definitely. I use some of them. Mostly, I don't know. When you have like crypto and you wanna use that in real life, I would say this is like a one good use case that we can have. And right now, there are like, I would say, two main providers that does this for like fintech and also for crypto companies that are called Rain and Bridge. Pretty much, they provide infrastructure that provide a lot of companies doing and offering these kind of services. So that's why we see like a lot of solutions right now, and a lot of like protocols offering cards, a lot of like exchanges offering their own cards. So I would say this is like pretty common right now in the crypto space. um Definitely, I would say one of the my main conclusions out of this hack would be to not treat this as a hardware wallet, as you mentioned with me. I think actually Ledger has their own integration right now with the cards. Not 100% sure of that, but I think they have like some kind of solution that maybe allows you to have like a final transaction approved with your hardware wallet before doing any transactions. So that might be a solution if you want to keep security and keep using crypto cards at the same time. um, but definitely, I would say we need to be more careful on this while recommending crypto cards, as it will be like the regular card that you can get like from your local bank. Because I never heard of like a hack like this with like local banks here in Argentina, or even like local banks like in other part of the world. So probably they have like a different infrastructure in place that allows these things not to happen. So again, my main recommendation would be, if I try to onboard like a user to crypto and tell him like, hey, yeah, how can I use your crypto? You can just get this crypto card and just pay yourself with crypto. Awesome. But I will be a bit more careful not to have like, I don't know, more than 500 USD in that account, if in case that you don't need it, like you're just sitting there. Like if you are going to spend that the same or in the week, that's okay. But if it has to be sitting in that wallet like for weeks or months, maybe just send it elsewhere, and just when you need that, just transfer your money back. So that would be my main recommendation in this case.
Yeah, you should probably treat it more like a spending account and not like a savings account if you have these crypto cards. And I don't know, like if you bring your wallet, you shouldn't be carrying around 5 figures or whatever inside of your physical wallet. So that's probably a good takeaway for that. But we're gonna be jumping into the next topic because we're gonna be cutting short today because Umar has to jump in a few minutes and the other guys too. So I want to talk about very shortly about the Trezor disclosure thing that they put out this week when they talked about like the Tropic 01 secure chip, which is affected with like a vulnerability which was uncovered by the Ledger Donjon team. I think like the story got blown up on the timeline a bit because like yeah, there might be like a vulnerability within the chip, but Trezor said like, hey, your funds are not at risk. The device itself is not at risk. The user doesn't need to do anything. It's one out of three secure elements I think on the Trezor 7, and they basically said like, yeah, it's an incident that is there. We want to inform users about it, but you need physical access to the device. Then you need to unscrew the whole device. You need lab equipment for the thing to be like even a threat to your device, and usually like the normal quote unquote attacker wouldn't have that kind of access. And then still you have one out of three secure elements which is affected. Umar, do you think that this kind of like, yeah, shines a bad light on hardware wallets? Does the average user now think, oh my god, like the Trezor 7 is unusable, it's hacked, or what's going to happen here?
Yeah, I mean, I think um, it really, I think it kind of depends on the buyer, but I think the bigger thing that I think is good is that they did like responsibly disclose this information and have sort of the information available for people to make their own decisions as well. I think it would have been worse if they hadn't kind of acknowledged it and said like, oh, it's not a vulnerability, it doesn't fit within our kind of like threat modeling kind of like severity. I think the big thing is in general with these tools is that the redundancy that they have. We know that like if there is one point of failure, that there are some other redundancies. I think from the end user's perspective, I don't know if it changes too much, like from a buyer's perspective, or if they have a Trezor. If they do, I assume like, and I did feel not good about it, that they could find an alternative. But yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, I just don't see like too much cause for concern yet. We'll see with time if there's any other attacks that people are able to find. Sometimes like what one flaw kind of ends up finding other things as well. So I think I would encourage any sort of hardware hackers or any software hackers that would like to reverse engineer these tools some more to like take a look and see if there's anything else that we could find in that space. The earlier we can find it, the better, so we can figure out sort of what to do about it, and make sure that people aren't necessarily loading up their vaults on there.
Umar, do you think that the competition basically between these Ledger, Donjon, and Trezor things is lifting up the industry as a whole? Because like Ledger uncovered this, but they always share these findings with the companies that they are like kind of inspecting, I guess.
Yeah, I think it is like helping a lot. The competition helps a lot. We see that happen all the time in established markets where there's an incumbent. As long as they're not being challenged, they tend to stagnate and kind of be the same. Like a parallel example in like the AI space is like Google versus like all the new AI labs. Like they're the ones who invented like the whole transformer architecture, but they were the kind of last to actually offer a consumer product because they had a lot of red tape around their processes and stuff. So I think it's much better if people are like doing things that this out in the open. That leads to more examples to follow for any new companies in the space as well. It's like, okay, shoot, in order for me to be competitive with these other companies, I need to be ready to be scrutinized and think about this from a attacker's perspective and all the different cases. And this all leads also behind sort of a I guess a historical record, for others to kind of learn from. I wish like it was a little bit less, though, intimidating for maybe like people who don't have a hardware wallet to get into. Like I think there's some level of indecision sometimes. Like, okay, which one do I get? This is the one that I need to like put as my kind of like store for the long term. That part of it is a little bit more challenging, but I think of it more like buying a car. It's like, yes, there's a lot of options and it is expensive and you want to get it right, but at the end of the day, it's a tool. It's meant to help you get from point A to point B. Same thing with the hardware wallets. I think more or less they kind of have an established parity of features all across the board, and now it's more about sort of making sure that end users understand what they're getting out of it and how to like make it cheaper and more accessible.
That's a great statement, Umar. I just had the keyword in my mind all the time, which you just mentioned about uncovering. You guys are uncovering something too with Lights in Dark Rooms. The documentary, it's coming out in 7 days, and maybe we're gonna have like a little video on the stream next time we are here. But you guys are running a promo right now with the little countdown on your social media channels for ChainPatrol. So if you wanna follow the countdown and if you want to follow the journey until the documentary is revealed for Lights in Dark Rooms, which is about scam compounds and like people human trafficked to scam other people's, please check them out. Check the social media channels from ChainPatrol. And as said, we're gonna be cutting this episode a bit short, unfortunately. But next week, I think we're gonna have even more topics to discuss. Juan, Huma, thank you so much for attending, and thank you so much for taking the time today. See you soon, guys.
Thanks, Wee. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.